Good morning to everybody, and let me begin by speaking about why having an event like Pata Tourism Powerhouse matters. I think the reason why it is important that we have an event like this and we get a lot of speakers from across the world is to validate the trajectory that India is taking. As all of us know, India has been the fastest growing large economy for over a decade now, and there is nothing to suggest that there is going to be a slowdown in that. And all of us are also aware that over the past 10 years, the level of infrastructure build-up that has happened in India has been unprecedented. Our airports have doubled from 75 to close to 150. Our aviation capacity is going to be, there is going to be a capacity enhancement of about 1,000 aircrafts, which are going to get added to the 650 to 700 we have in the country today. Our Vande Bharat trains have been truly game changers. Our national highways have been exceptionally, crisscross the country now, making travel by road easy and feasible. So essentially, I think we have the demand which is already there because we have been the fastest growing large economy. It has put money into the pockets of our people, which is translating into aspiration, and people are traveling like never before. So domestic demand, as you know, is exploding, and we have the infrastructure. And I think what is really missing is that the conversion is not happening, in the sense that we are not able to leverage into this demand that is there and the infrastructure that is built up to make the tourism sector as large and as vibrant as it should. And which is why I think it is important for us to understand where we are and how do we see and how do we chart our way forward. So to my mind, I think we need to start focusing from footfall to a format where we look at the yield per tourist that comes into the country. And I think for a country like India, growth is a given. We are going to, whether we like it, whether we don't like it, there is no doubt that we are going to grow. We are going to grow very robustly and for a very long time. I think the challenge for us is to frame that growth within a responsible paradigm, and we will also have to see as to how we can grow with resilience, because as we have seen with COVID, and that's not going to be the end of it, there will be times when the sector will be challenged. So I think we need to frame that growth within a resilient framework. And I think we need to also start looking at the tourism sector not as a standalone silo, but we will have to start looking at it as a national growth system. The second point that I would like to state is that tourism is really India's missing growth multiplier. Because if we, as I have said, that the demand side is exploding in India, and we have very deep cultural capital. But even in spite of all of this, if you look at the tourism sector's contribution to our GDP, it is about 5.04, 5.5%, which is about half of the global average. And there is no reason why it should be so. And therefore, I think we need to start framing as to how we can make the tourism sector vibrant and strengthen it so that it contributes to the national GDP. And the Honorable Prime Minister has given a call. A few months ago, he has said that we must double the tourism GDP and take it to 10% of India's national GDP. So to my mind, why this is happening is not because there is a demand constraint. As I said, demand already exists. There is strong domestic demand. There is reasonable international demand. I think the problem that we are facing is that we do not have, the issue is largely structural readiness. We are not ready institutionally to unleash this growth that can come about in the tourism sector. And I think the government's role should be to create conditions for the industry to come out and play. And if we are able to unleash the power of the entrepreneur, I think tourism will take off. And I think the biggest challenge that we have today is to how do we figure out those policy fixes so that we are able to unleash the power of the entrepreneur so that tourism sector can grow. But tourism today remains India's most under-leveraged engine for employment generation, for foreign exchange earning, as well as to ensure balanced regional growth. And therefore, I think it is very, very vital. And for a country like India, employment is our number one challenge. And I think there is no other sector which is better equipped than tourism to support that aspiration. The third idea is that I think we need to start moving towards destination management. Because I think we have to start understanding that the next phase is not going to be about marketing. It is not enough to go and promote ourselves as Incredible India and pitch ourselves as a very beautiful destination. I think our growth will essentially depend upon how we are able to manage our destinations and how we are able to fulfill that promise that we make to the tourist when he makes that choice to travel to India. And which is why I think we need to have professionally managed destination management organizations, which are missing today. And the mandate that these DMOs should have should be to integrate infrastructure, to ensure community engagement, to ensure that sustainability forms the core of how we address tourism, and to ensure that we also bring in market intelligence and big data so that we are able to ensure year-round appeal. India as a country has year-round appeal, but not every destination has year-round appeal, because even today we have destinations like Jaisalmer, which are great tourist attractions, but which operate for a few months in a year. So I think that is an area that we need to look at. The fourth idea that I would like to leave is that we need to start preparing ourselves to welcome the new global traveler. Today, even those of us who were born before the internet era will have all become native to digital now. And therefore, every decision that we make is probably going to be determined by the digital searches that we do. And essentially what it means is that the new age traveler is going to be digitally native, he's going to be experience driven, he's probably going to be aware of the issues of sustainability, and he will also be value conscious. And which is why I think it is very important for us to prepare ourselves as a destination, as an industry, to be able to engage with people who are digital natives and who are able to, and we should be able to create a framework within which we are able to meet their aspiration and take them towards that decision making to come to India. We need to personalize experiences at scale for them, because one of the big things that artificial intelligence and technology is doing today is that the aspiration has moved away from mass to things which are very curated and which are very individually oriented. And I think, which is why I think we need to be able to create personalized experiences at scale. And as I said before, most important is that we need to develop trust-based destination ecosystem. Because wherever the traveler goes, I think the biggest currency that we have is trust. And if we are able to generate that, we will probably be very successful. The fifth is a point that is very close to my heart. It is sustainability. And I think today, sustainability is not just a compliance issue. And I think sustainability and responsibility have essentially become a market access imperative. If you have to break into the global market, and if you have to make a mark, I think there is no other route for us than to be sustainable and than to be responsible. Because all of us as human beings, all things being equal, we will always choose an option that is ethical and that helps and that is fair. And I think as Indians, we must ensure that our entire ecosystem is framed around this framework of responsible and sustainable tourism. And we must not only manage our resources responsibly, but we must also ensure that we engage our communities consistently. And I'm sure that if we do that, we will be able to outperform our competitors. And therefore, I think responsible tourism should become our default option in whatever it is that we do. The sixth idea that I want to leave is about MICE and urban competitiveness. A lot of times, and I have been the chairman of ICPB for 5 years, is that we frame competitiveness of our MICE destinations nationally. And I think to my mind, MICE actually reflects the city's competitiveness as a destination. And therefore, I think it's very important for us to develop our cities as as globally competitive hubs. And we must also understand attracting large conventions means we are not only attracting knowledge into those cities, we are attracting investments, and of course, we are also attracting high value visitors. And therefore, I think what we need to do on the MICE framework is to institutionalize convention bureaus to build global hubs. The idea is not for India to promote ourselves as a MICE destination. That is the overarching communication which needs to go out. But it's more important is how do we position Hyderabad as a global convention hub? How do we position the city of Delhi, which has such fantastic infrastructure now with Yashobhumi, Bharat Mandapam? And I think the game will have to change to the city level rather than at the national level. The seventh point that I would like to make is about technology and artificial intelligence. And there's a whole lot of discussion out there which is happening around whether artificial intelligence is good or bad, whether it is ethical or not. But I think the point that all of us in the room should be very clear about is the inevitability of AI. Whether we like it, we do not like it, AI is going to happen. And I think the sooner we wake up to it and sooner we adapt and we mold it in a way that works for us rather than be overtaken by change and then realize that we are at the wrong end of the stick, I think it's important for us to take a proactive position on that. And artificial intelligence and technology today can help us tremendously in terms of forecasting demand. It can help us with capacity management at destinations. It can help the industry optimize their yields. And it can also create personalized experiences. And therefore, I think it's very important that we latch on to this artificial intelligence and technology platform. The sooner that we can, the better it is. And I think the industry and the government need to work together. And technology, when it is aligned with governance, can enhance our competitiveness. And therefore, there is a big ask of all of us in this room to see as to how we are able to tap into this potential that is offered to us. PATA has been a very trusted partner for Incredible India, and we've been working closely together for several decades now, and our partnership is institutionalized, and we understand that the future of growth is going to be partnership-led. And therefore, I think it is very important that we understand that government can create the policy frameworks to enable growth, but it is the industry that has to go and scale up and promise and deliver on that promise of growth that the government holds out. And institutions like PATA must come together and should become the connective tissue between the government and the industry, especially in terms of setting standards, in terms of knowledge sharing, as well as in terms of global linkages. So let me lastly say, what is it that India wants and what is it that India offers? And I think from the position of where we are in India, we are at the beginning of a long-term cycle of growth. And I think what India needs most today is a lot of patient capital, because growth will happen, but I think there is a lot of capital that needs to come into the country. India also requires contextual experience, because there are some things we have done well, there are several examples all over the world where others have done exceptionally well, and there is no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. I think we need to have that contextual expertise so that we are able to quickly frame our position and be able to find the shortest route to fulfillment. And I think we need to also start looking at outcome-based partnerships so that we are able to deliver not just for the industry but for us as an entire nation. And I think what India offers today is scale. There is no other country in the world today which offers as much potential for tourism growth as India does. And it is not just pure growth that we also offer growth with diversity. There is no other country which offers as diverse an environment as India does, and opportunities are indeed spectacular. It is almost like all of the world's opportunities put together in our country. And we also offer you the opportunity to grow, but that will be growth with responsibility. And of course, as all of you know, the play is going to be long-term, and this is going to be a very long-term cycle. So there is going to be long-term opportunities for the world to come and to participate in the growth story of India. So I think to sum up, the next decade for India is not going to be defined by how many tourists that we get, but it is going to be defined by what kind of destinations we are able to create and what kind of experience we are going to be able to offer. And I think from that perspective, I would like all of you to deliberate, make the best use of the time today and tomorrow. And I'm sure that we have an exceptional lineup of speakers who have come from all across the world. We've got the who is who of the industry in this room. And I'm sure that over the deliberations that we will have today and tomorrow, we will find many new ideas and many thought processes which will trigger that element of growth for India and in the best way possible. I thank you all for a patient hearing. Jai Hind.